Welcome to the Moon and Gemini podcast. I am your witch in residence, April Edwards, and this is our deep dive into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries, when vision demands form. February 20th, 11:53 a.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time. Some transits describe a mood, some describe a season, and then there are transits that quietly redraw the architecture of reality. The conjunction of Saturn and Neptune is one of those moments. It doesn't announce itself with spectacle. It works beneath the surface, reshaping belief, dissolving what can no longer be sustained, and asking what, if any, has the strength to remain standing. On February 20th, Saturn and Neptune meets Aries, the sign of the first fire, first action, first declaration of self. This is not a passive conjunction. It does not remain internal. What begins here seeks embodiment. This is the moment when vision must become form or be relinquished entirely. Saturn governs structure, boundaries, responsibility, consequence, authority. It is the force that makes things real by making them accountable. Neptune, by contrast, governs what is unseen, your faith, your ideals, longing, illusion, and the stories we tell ourselves about meaning. Neptune blurs edges, Saturn sharpens them. When these two meet, there is always tension. Beliefs are tested, systems are revealed as either hollow or viable. Dreams that cannot withstand reality begin to dissolve, while those that contain something true begin to demand structure. This conjunction is not about optimism versus pessimism. It is about sustainability. What can last? What can carry weight? What can survive contact with the real world? Aries changes the tone entirely. Aries is the sign of initiation, not mastery, not completion, but the first act of will. In Aries, Saturn-Neptune conjunction does not remain theoretical or philosophical. It demands movement. It provokes decisions before we feel ready. It exposes leadership that lacks substance and belief systems that inspire but cannot support what they promise. This is where ideals stop floating and begin to ask for bodies, systems, consequences. In Aries, we see where authority has been assumed without integrity, where leadership has relied on myth rather than competence, and where conviction has not been matched by responsibility. These cracks feel destabilizing, but they are clarifying. Something false cannot be carried forward from this point. In the present moment, this conjunction can feel disorienting. There may be confusion around leadership, disappointment in institutions, or figures once trusted, and a sense that action is required before clarity arrives. Many people may feel compelled to begin something without knowing how it ends, or reluctant to commit because the ground feels uncertain. This is not poor timing. This is the nature of the conjunction. Faith precedes proof here, but not blind faith. Discernment becomes essential. Anything built on fantasy alone will struggle. Anything built slowly, deliberately, with awareness of limitation has surprising strength. What begins under this conjunction will shape the years ahead. Saturn-Neptune cycles are collective in nature. They influence the stories societies tell about authority, sacrifice, and meaning. In Aries, this cycle begins a long process of redefining leadership itself. Who leads, why they lead, and what they are accountable for. Over time, this conjunction colors a future where sincerity is no longer enough, where belief must demonstrate durability, where ideals are required to translate into systems that protect rather than exploit. Movements that rely solely on inspiration will fracture. Those that accept responsibility may endure. This is the start of a world that asks harder questions of power. For my witches, this is not a transit to dominate or command. This is a transit to align. Saturn, Neptune, and Aries asks where belief demands responsibility, where vision has been pursued without discipline, where authority has been granted out of hope rather than earned through consistency. It invites a reckoning of personal codes, ethical boundaries, and the structures that support one's practice. This is not about louder magic or more visible work. It is about integrity. Practices that are overly aesthetic, overly performative, or dependent on illusion may feel hollow now. What strengthens is what is simple, grounded, and repeatable, what lasts under pressure. To work with this energy is to slow down, refine, and commit carefully, to let false certainty dissolve without panic, to allow belief to mature into responsibility. In the months following this conjunction, pay attention to what falters and what quietly stabilizes. Notice who steps into leadership and who retreats. Notice where you are asked to act without validation, without applause, and without certainty. This transit does not only reveal what is beginning, it reveals what cannot begin again. Some illusions will not survive the year. That is not failure, that is clarification. This transit does not promise ease or answers, it offers responsibility. It asks you to stand behind what you believe, not symbolically, not spiritually, but structurally. What you begin now does not need to be perfect. It just needs to be real.